All right, so in the application, I'm going to log in here really quick. We have our customers tab, and within our customers tab is going to show all of our active prospects, or all of our active customers. It's going to show all of our prospects, and then it's going to have our terminated customers listed within here. So you have different queues that you can work off within the application. Now, whenever you create a new customer, so let's just say that you get a call in and it's a prospect within the system, you're going to want to add that prospect directly into the system. So you can do that directly from the Customers tab, clicking New Customer. Now, in the Customer Wizard, when you're adding this prospect within here, each customer has a status. The three statuses are active, prospect, or terminated. So if it's a prospect, you're going to flag it as a prospect within the system. You'll fill in all the other necessary information. And what I like to do is I like to put the initial comments pertaining to this specific prospect. So if you're putting the comments in here, they might be, what products they're interested in, and the salesperson, if it's not yourself or that you're assigning to, will have access to these comments within the Customers tab as well. So if I leave here and just go back to that Customers tab, you have what's called available columns. Available columns are different fields that are provided throughout the application. So if you come into here, for example, and I want to see specific columns that will be used for the sales process, I can come into here, and then if I want to look at the actual salesperson, so when you're creating that new customer, when I was in that screen, you're also going to assign it to a specific salesperson. If it's unassigned, it would be unassigned like this over here, and then you can add different fields that you want to see within here. So the customer status, you can see I have some active and terminated ones within there. And so you can create basically your own view and add which fields that you want to see. You can also drag different column headers up here, and you can group by a specific field as well. So if I drag this salesperson up there, here's all of the customers that were ever assigned to this specific salesperson. And what you can also do, and I've showed this in my other layouts, is you can also save layouts. So when you add all the available columns, you do the filtering that you want, you add the different fields within here, you can say what are called custom grid layouts. Now, these layouts can be what are called global layouts. So if you create a layout and you want everybody to be able to use that, you can create one like that. Or if you want to create your own personal layout, you can create your own personal layout as well. So I created a global layout, and I'm just going to click on this prospects queue directly within here. When I click on this prospects queue, this is going to show all of the prospects I have within the system right now. Since I am an admin logging in, I can see all of my salespeople and the prospects that they're assigned to. Now, I created a layout earlier, and that layout was called Prospect List. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to click Fly Global Layout. And you can see I added a couple more columns and fields within here when I was creating the specific layout. So if you come into here, you can see all those specific fields that were created. I have some email addresses in here, customer type, the customer sense date. So when I'm creating a new customer, I actually use the customer sense date to be used of when this prospect was added in the system, and I can always update that later if I need to. But this is a nice tracking metric for myself to know when they were entered in versus when they were closed within the system as well. So all of that information is going to be added in there. Now that comments field, you can also add the comments field within here. So from that initial call, I can see, customer would like a quote from the Berg system and wants options for interactive services too. So when I was showing you adding that new customer, and I'll drill back in there for 1 second, this is where that comments field is pulling from it. So it's nice with the initial call to actually have that within here. So I want to take a look in here, and I know I created some information already for Steve Martin. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill into that customer really quick. And within here, you can see within Steve Martin, after this prospect was entered in the system, the salesperson assigned was Justin DeBadges. I did that directly from the customer wizard. So when I was assigning the salesperson, this is where your drop-down list is going to come from. Now, all of these salespeople are actually created within the setup tables. So after you create a user and create a employee record, you'll actually flag the individuals that are going to be salespeople within the application. So I'm going to jump right back here to Steve Martin, and you can see the status is flagged as a prospect because Steve is obviously a prospect within our system. Now, if you want to track any notes, so maybe I gave a call to Steve, or I wanted to put some notes on Steve's account just for my reference if I need to reference back to them. So I spoke with the customer on 228, was very excited for a quote. So I have those notes, and you can log any of these notes. I'm going to almost use this as somewhat as a CRM to track any of the outbound calls or inbound information that may have been received by the specific prospect that you're working for. Now, I have an email address on file. This will come in handy when you're sending out your proposals. And I can also see that Steve has an active proposal, so he has one pending proposal. So I'm guessing within this status, whenever you deliver a proposal, it automatically turns the status to pending, so that's why that's going to be listed within there. Now, what I can also work from is if I have any proposals created for specific prospects, so the customer view and the prospect queue that I showed you is probably the best way to manage your active prospects and all your team's active prospects. But if you want to take a look at the proposals that all of your salespeople or yourself have out and pending with customers, those are going to all be listed in your proposals queue. So with your proposals queue, you have all your open proposals listed within here, status, which we'll touch on in a second, follow-up date if that was entered in, and then if you want to view all your closed proposals, this will show by salesperson all the closed proposals, the total amount that they were closed, and then you have all of those listed within there as well. Now, accepted proposals we'll touch on in a minute. After these are signed and a proposal is signed, and there's a couple ways you can sign these, this will move into the accepted queue, and then rejected proposals would be listed within this queue as well. So a couple active proposals, I'm going to go into a few that I already have. You can create a new proposal directly through here. Whenever you're creating a proposal, you'll have to pick a customer, and then you'll have to pick a site to assign that to. Okay? So you'll create that proposal in there, and then back going into Steve Martin, I can also generate a new proposal directly from the customer's profile as well. Okay, so we're just going to drill right into this proposal. I created one just for the sake of time. And within a proposal here, I'm going to go into the edit mode, but I'm going to cover a couple things at the top, and then we'll go to the actual building of this specific proposal. So the status can be used internally to let you know where you stand with this specific prospect in this proposal. So I have one sent out, so this is actually pending. If they were rejected, accepted, sold, open, closed. So those are a couple statuses that you can work off of, and as the as this flows through the sales process, you can use these statuses to update these specific prospects for the proposal that you have out. Now, the proposal date, this is going to be important. Obviously, this is the date that you're creating that proposal, so that needs to be marked in the system when you're doing some future reports to see, maybe how long it's taking for your average length for, when we send out a proposal to how long it's taking to close. We have the contact here, email address. This is nice because if I have the email address on file, I can actually email the proposal to the customer. Follow-up date, you can use the calendar, and creating a follow-up date will actually put a appointment reminder on the calendar. So if you're using the calendar religiously, especially for the salespeople, you can create follow-up dates within there, and you can also create miscellaneous appointments on the calendar to let you know of specific follow-ups that you'll have with your customers. This follow-up date will also show up within the proposals queue, so you'll have that follow-up date listed within here. So if they're logging in each day, today I need to follow up with this specific customer on this specific proposal. Coming back here, estimated closing. percentage. This will just give you the percentage that you think you are to closing these. So when you're going through these each month, you can have some sort of estimate of what our sales are going to be for the specific month based on what we have in our pipeline and how hot or cold this specific prospect is. The site, like I was talking about before, you always have a site selected. And if you want to create a system on the fly, you can create a system on the fly. Or if you already had one created on the customer's profile, you can attach this site and system to this specific proposal. Now, these can always be created after as well, but just remember all of the parts do flow over from the proposal into the work order and essentially to the system. So when you have work orders in the future, maybe a service calls, remember those parts are going to be added and they're going to flow over. So if you have to reference back, remove those parts, you want that for tracking information to see the equipment that's installed for those specific site and systems. System type, and then we have the service level, the salesperson that we talked about, and the delivery method. Brief description, this will show up on the proposal, so I just had thank you for considering AlarmBiller, and then 50% down is due on the acceptance of the agreement. You can also add additional notes. These additional notes will show up within the body of the proposal as well. Now what we have down here is we also have items and we have parts within here too. So an item would be anything that's not a physical part. So what I did is I created a bundle. And so I came in here and I clicked Add Items. I looked up Install, so I added this Install Home Security Package item. I created my default rate. I had the rate within there, but I overrode it because this is going to be more expensive. I put a discount in here of -250, so that'll be a line item on the quote, and I'll say this is valid until 2/28. And then I added all my parts within here. When I click Add Parts, now the parts are going to have all of your rates that you're charging the customer. So I added a bunch of parts within here. Now you can also use categories. And in the setup, if you go into categories and subcategories, you can actually add subcategories. And you can use this as somewhat as kitting to at least have these grouped together. So for a specific Resi install, you might have a keypad, some motions, door contact, and whatever else included within that. So I could actually create some subcategories, and I could group those together. All I have to do is click on them, click Filter, and it will bring all those in there. So I already added those parts in. You can just select the parts that you want, click Add Parts, and those will add these parts within here. And what I also did is I came into here. I didn't want to show the parts price, so I went in and zeroed out the rate. Now, if you didn't want to zero out the rate, you could still have the part price within here, and then you can make a service level, and that service level could be for the specific proposal. And within that service level, you can tell the service level to cover the parts on it. So on the quote, they would have a grand total, but they wouldn't see all the pricing for the specific parts within here. Okay. RMR, you can add RMR directly within here. If you want to add the RMR to this within, so it's included within that estimate, or the RMR could always be added on after the fact, after this is closed. So that's up to you how you want to handle that within the system. Documents. You can upload documents, so if this is a brochure, contract, attachments, anything you want to add on to here, you can upload files, or you can add what are called attachments. Attachments are pre-defined and created within the system. So if you go into here, into your setup, and you click on attachments, an attachment could have multiple documents added to it. So if I come back to this proposal really quick, you can see I actually added an attachment, and it was this residential protection, and that had multiple documents. So these, when the customer gets the email, they'll not only get the proposal, but they'll also get these attachments as well. And so here's just a couple of these attachments within here. So if I wanted to go in and edit those or take a look or download any of the documents that I had within there, I could take a look at those as well. Coming back here, if I was on site and I wanted to get the signature right from the customer right there, I could click the Complete tab, and I could get a signature right there. Also, what I have is custom fields. Custom fields are created within the setup table, and if you have any questions about that, we won't cover that in too much detail on this webinar, but you can give a call to our support department. They can help you. I created a couple custom fields that I wanted to put in here for tracking details. The data was delivered, so my sales team is required. They have to put in the date they deliver this specific quote and the time, and then they have to check off that this quote was delivered. Now, these custom fields, these also show up within your proposals tab. So if I go to available columns, you can actually see all of those custom fields within there. So I can see which of these were sent, and then so it says true, and which were not sent. So those will be listed right there. So all of those custom fields, as you add them in, will actually be viewable within the available columns within your proposals tab. So jumping back really quick, and I sent this earlier just for the sake of time. If you want to deliver this quote, all you have to click is print deliver, and we'll cover override template in a little bit. That'll be some information on e-forms. I can print this out, a hard copy right here, or I can select email, and that will email it to the customer. Copy. If I copy this proposal, so maybe I get a call from a customer and they want me to send they want to do an upgrade, or they want to change some pricing within the proposal. So I want to keep all of this information from this proposal. I want to close this one out, and I want to make an adjustment and add a couple of parts onto the new proposal. So this is nice. It will, if you click copy, it closes the old one out. It'll generate a new one, and the reason for this is this will give you history of all the proposals that you sent to the customer. So you have the old copy proposal that you originally sent. They asked for a new one, and then so if they say, hey, Justin, you actually this was more expensive on the last proposal, I can say, no, here's the last one that we generated for you. Here's the adjustments that we made within there. So that's what that copy button would be used for within here. So when I come in here and I deliver this proposal to the customer, here's what they will receive. So I sent this out earlier. Those two attachments that are on there, they could download, and then here's the actual proposal that was sent to the customer. So within this proposal, it's got the site location, customer information. Here's that brief description. I have this bundled home security package with the discount. And then here's my notes. And if they want to sign this, they can print it out and sign it. Or on the bottom, they can click this link. If they click on this link, they can actually create their own web portal. Within that web portal, they can log in and they can actually view and accept this proposal directly through that portal. So I created that portal for this customer, again, for the sake of time. So this is where it would drive them to your home page, so it would be your logo. And after they create their account within here, the prospect will be able to log in. Within here, they'll be able to look at their proposal. So they have one open proposal within here. They can view it, and then if they want to view the proposal and they say, okay, this looks good, they can click accept. Now, the company sending this out will get an automatic email notifying them that this proposal was accepted. So they come into here, sign in their name. Now, the company will get an automatic notification that this proposal was accepted. And if the customer ever needs to come back to view these, they can view these as well within here. Now, all proposals, and you can see that actually changed the status to accepted. So if we went into our proposals queue now, that proposal is no longer going to be within your open proposals. It's now going to move and flow over to your accepted queue. So here's that proposal for Steve Martin. it's been turned to the accepted queue. So within the office now, you're going to need to make the decision of whom next is going to be managing these accepted proposals and turning these directly into work orders. Will the salesperson do that, or do you want somebody within your office staff who installs to go through this list daily, look through these, and schedule these out appropriately? And we'll cover that within a second here. So if I come back to this customer now, you can see that Steve Martin is still set as a prospect within here. Now, if you jump back into this proposal and you go into Steve Martin now, I can look through this and I click Edit. So I see that this has been accepted, and I can change the status from accepted to sold, and this is where I can complete the proposal. It'll bring up the select new work order status. I'm going to say this is ready to schedule. So it throws in a ready to schedule STU. This is a Berg install. And I'm going to click complete here. Now what this is going to do, it's going to close the proposal out. It's going to create the work order automatically. It's going to pull all of our items and parts and notes over into this work order, so we don't have an appointment yet. And all that information is going to flow over into this work order. Now, what you also have, and this is a little bit more of a management tool, is in your notifications to process, every day you log in, you'll be able to see, I have 5 accepted proposals, so when you're going into here, you'll know I have 5 accepted, so these, obviously 5, need to be turned over into work orders within the system. Okay. Now, if I was on site with a customer and I was using my tablet device, I could always get the signature right then and there and take the payment right on site. So that's the managing that process. And if I go into the customer now, you'll see Steve's automatically changed to an active customer. That proposal is now closed and it's turned to sold within the customer profile. So we'll always have access to that. And then here's the work order that's sitting as ready to schedule and open within that work order queue. And you can refer to some of my other webinars where I went over scheduling and the work order queue in the first of these series to show the best practices for scheduling these work orders within the system as well. Okay. So I'm going to go through, see if we have a couple questions here, and then I'm going to go right into each